What's this? A letter for me.
Welcome to another episode of Remember the Great Sports Through the Mail Thursdays. Today I'm going to share with you 3 returns that I just recently got back in the mail, baseball related, and I'm going to give you a little profile of each person that signed for me. So just hang in with me and we'll jump right into this. So the first one is a return from former Baltimore Oriole Dave Schmidt on 1. Also a former Texas Ranger on 2. And also Chicago White Sox pitcher on 3 and 4. That's at 86 tops traded. And he pitched for a couple other teams. So Dave Schmidt, a California native, played his high school baseball in California, played college baseball at the renowned UCLA. He was actually selected in the 26th round out of UCLA by the Texas Rangers in 1979. In 1979, he finished the year with the Rangers rookie affiliate. Then the following year in 1980, he split time between single A and double A for the Rangers as a starter, compiling a 12-7 record. In 1981, he split time between double A and triple A again. However, he did get a call up to the majors as a reliever and appeared in 14 games for the Rangers that season, posting a 3.13 ERA. Well, going into the 82 season, he made the Rangers out of the bullpen. He got a chance to start in 8 games that year for the Rangers, compiling a 4-6 record with an ERA of 3.20. He would spend 1983, 84, and 85 as a regular reliever in the Rangers bullpen with a couple starts here and there. Well, after the 85 season, he was traded to the Chicago White Sox, and this is how Scott Fletcher became a Texas Ranger. So, a pretty fair trade if you ask me. Scott Fletcher had a pretty decent career for the Rangers. However, Schmidt didn't stay that long with the White Sox. Schmidt only lasted 1 season with the White Sox, and he didn't have a horrendous season by any standards. However, the Red Sox decided to let him go after that trade in 1986. Well, he signed as a free agent with the Orioles the following year, and he would spend 1987, 88, 89 as a Baltimore Oriole. He would actually have a somewhat decent year in 1989 when the Orioles decided to make him a starter again, where he compiled a 10-13 record that season. The previous year he started 9 games, so they let him do 26 the next year. Well, after the 89 season, his stint with the Orioles was completed and they granted him free agency, and he signed in December with the Montreal Expos. He would spend 1990, 1991 with the Expos. During the 91 season, he was released from his Expos contract. However, he did finish the year with the Texas Rangers that year, but he did not appear in a game in the majors for the Rangers that year, which is the team that originally drafted him, and finished the year out in AAA. After the 91 season, he signed a minor league deal with the Seattle Mariners. However, halfway through the season in June, the Mariners released him, and then he signed a free agent contract with the Oakland A's to finish out the year. Neither with the Seattle Mariners nor the A's did he pitch in the major leagues. After his playing career, he became an involved person with the Baltimore Orioles organization and player development. He worked in some capacities in player development for the Orioles, such as pitching coordinator for the minor leagues. I am not sure if he's still affiliated with the Orioles. I can't follow up on coaching staffs like I used to be able to pre-virus, so I'm not really sure if Mr. Schmidt's still affiliated. And you're going to probably wonder, well, why didn't you get your all-time Orioles card signed this time? Well, like another person that I wrote recently, I sent this request out before I actually had the Orioles set in hand. So I am going to have to probably write Mr. Schmidt again not in the near future, but in the far near future, I guess you would say, to try to get my Orioles card signed as well for my set. So thank you, Mr. Schmidt. That was the first time I ever got your autograph. I'm very happy to add it to my collection. All right, so this next one is postmarked. This is postmarked from Washington State, and it is from former Seattle Mariner / Texas Ranger coach Brian Allard on 1, 2, and 3. And if you remember from a previous video, Jerry Don Guiton I had on a card, and I sent him a blank one, but I also sent him the one with Jerry Don on it. And unfortunately, Mr. Allard, I don't know if he was aware that he did this, but he signed over Jerry Don Guiton's autograph in a different colored Sharpie. So you can really see how he signed over his name, because the Sharpie is two different colors. I actually specifically asked Mr. Allard to use match the marker if he had it available. Unfortunately, he must have not saw that, or he didn't have the marker available, and he signed over that name. So I don't know if I offended him by asking to sign in the same color as Jerry Don. And I think I said it that way. Can you match the marker of Jerry Don? And not only did he not match it, but he signed through it. So I guess the answer to that question was no. But I am very happy to have this autograph, because actually the black looks pretty good on this card and this card, because in blue that might not show up really well, and it might be kind of hard to see because it's darker, but this looks pretty good, and in a blue Sharpie it may not have shown up really well as well. So the positive is he did sign for me. I just, again, don't know if I offended him by having Jerry Don on there already, but he didn't sign over this one completely, so maybe I'll send it to Jerry Don after I send it to Greg Malberg. So enough about the cards. Let me tell you about Brian Allard. Brian Allard grew up in Illinois. He was drafted by the Texas Rangers in the 4th round of the 1976 draft. After signing with the Rangers at 18 years old, he was assigned to the Rangers rookie ball affiliate, where he went 5-1 in 13 games. In 1977, he went to single A for the Rangers. 1978 Double A, and 1979 Triple A. So he moved up one affiliate each year. In 1979, he got his break and got called up to the major leagues with the Texas Rangers, which is this card right here. And he appeared in 7 games, starting 4 of them, and finished the year with a 1-3 record. Well, in 1980, he spent the majority of the year in AAA, again for the Rangers, and he was called up to the majors for 5 games this time, starting 2 of them, and had an 0-1 record. Well, going into the 1981 season, he was traded from the Texas Rangers, along with Jerry Don Guiton, his teammate on the card there, to the Seattle Mariners for Rick Honeycutt, Willie Horton, Leon Roberts, and Mario Mendoza, and Larry Cox. So, along with Jerry Don, the teammate on the card there were a couple other players that went to Seattle. So it was a pretty big trade. About 5 guys on each side. So after being with the Mariners, he got a chance in 1981 to appear in 7 games as a starter for the Mariners up there, and he had a pretty decent year at 3-2 with a 3.75 ERA. Well, despite this, going into the 1982 season, I don't know if injuries may have precluded him, because he only appeared in 5 games that year for the AAA affiliate for the Mariners at 24 years old. Well, he didn't get called up to the majors in 83 or 82. In 83, he went back to AAA. However, he appeared in 35 games, but he split his record at 10 wins and 10 losses and had a pretty high ERA over 6. In 1984, which I think might be this card right here, He again returned to the Mariners AAA, but he had 3 wins and 9 losses in 17 starts that year for the Mariners. After that, at 26 years old, Mr. Allard never pitched again, from what I can tell professionally. Now, after his playing career, he got into coaching, and this card is from the late 80s, right here. So by the late 80s, but mid 80s, he retired as a player. By the late 80s, he was a coach. And I know he coached for a little bit. I don't want to say a long time in affiliated baseball. But after the 1990s, I'm not really sure what he decided to do with his career. So I don't know to this day if he's still affiliated with baseball or not. I sent these per request to a Washington address, which is a long way from Illinois where he grew up. So I'm not really sure what he is now doing in the Washington area, but I'm very happy to add these to my collection. These 2 are team sets that I'm working on. Again, unfortunately, I didn't expect that to happen, but it did. But I'm going to send these off to Mr. Malberg next, and hopefully we can complete this one, and maybe I'll send that after Malberg signs it to Jerry Don, and we'll go from there. So thank you very much, Mr. Allard. All right, this final one is postmarked from Florida, and this one has kind of a sentimental value to me, so that's why I saved it for last. So this is former Milwaukee Brewer Ed Romero on 1, 2 as a Red Sox, a 3rd as a Red Sox, and a 4th rookie card as a Brewer, still needing the Ned Yost. Now I actually have this card completed by the group, and I'll give a little backstory on that really quick. Ed Romero was one of the very first autographs that I got at a minor league baseball game. He was the coach of a minor league affiliate in Illinois when I was in my 12, 13 years old, early teens. I actually happen to have this rookie card of him that I got him to sign in person, and I've shown it in another video in the past, because I got Ned Yost to sign it and complete it. Well, I sent it to John Flynn a long time ago. So I got Ed Romero to sign this card first, not this card, but the other copy. And then I stuck, I want to say, 2 more in the mail, plus the one signed by Romero. Well, John Flynn took, I want to say, close to about 8 to 9 years to return my request. So that John Flynn card was in the mail for like 7 or 8 years with Ed Romero's autograph on it. Now, a lot of people write things off, but I always like to say, never give up. You might get a return even after all these years. Well, here's the ironic part to that. Ed had signed these other types of cards. I don't think the traded one, but these 2 for sure, and the rookie card for me. And I've mentioned this in the past before, that when I was in high school, somebody broke into my parents' house and stole all my autographed cards, and I never saw them again. Every single Ed Romero autographed card that I had is now gone because of that theft, except for the one card that was out in the mail to John Flynn. So after I lost all of my autographs at that point in my life, I started over with my collection, while I was in high school, and I've been collecting, for the last 20 plus years since that theft. And one day, this autograph came back in the mail, and there was my Ed Romero. So I sent it to Ned Yost, when Ned was still coaching the Royals, and he finished it off for me. So I'm probably going to send this one off to Ned too, to finish it off. I certainly don't want to lose it, because I definitely don't want to try to track John Flynn down again on an 8-year return. But so let me jump into Ed Romero's career here, as I have such huge respect for Ed, because, again, he was one of the first autographs that I ever received in person at a minor league baseball game. So Ed Romero, a Puerto Rican native, was signed by the Milwaukee Brewers, and at the age of just 18 years old was playing in the single-A affiliate for the Brewers. By the time he was 19, he made his major league debut with the Brewers in 10 games. After his debut in 1977, Ed would return to the minor leagues, not to return until 1980, where he would appear in 42 games for the Brewers that year. Romero primarily was the backup infielder on the teams. He played, shortstop and second base. He could play either position. And he backed up some pretty notable names in Brewers history, such as Paul Molitor, Robin Yount, Jim Gantner, on down the list. Well, after the 85 season, he was traded to the Boston Red Sox for pitcher Mark Clear. He would spend through 1989, actually August of 1989, with the Boston Red Sox, again playing a backup utility role, backing up the likes of some great Red Sox players of that era, Marty Barrett, Spike Owen, Wade Boggs, etc. And he would be released from his contract in August of 89. He would sign as a free agent with the Braves. However, he wouldn't last long with the Braves because they decided to trade him back a week later to the team that originally drafted him, the Milwaukee Brewers. So after the 89 season, he was let go by the Brewers, again, for the second time. I don't want to say let go. They traded him the first time. And he signed a free agent contract in 1990 with the Detroit Tigers. He only appeared in about 32 games for the Tigers that season, again as a backup. So this would be backing up Lou Whitaker and Alan Trammell, two of the greatest players from that era, more or less. And then after the 1990 season, he would sign with the San Diego Padres and remain in their AAA affiliate the entire 1991 season and not playing in the majors. At 33 years old, after having a pretty solid career in the majors, spanning over 12 years, he would retire from baseball as a player. Well, at this point, he would get into coaching with the Padres affiliates, and this is when I met him in the mid-1990s, when he was actually coaching the Padres affiliate at that time. Ed would remain in the game for many, many years, and up until, I want to say probably about 3 or 4 years ago, he was still coaching in the minor leagues at the rookie level. So he'd spent, at least probably 20 years in player development after he spent the 12 or 13 years as a player. So this, again, is one of those lifetime baseball guys that, at 19 years old, he was in the majors as a player, and then he spent another half of his career or a third of his life being a coach, which is just awesome. There's another side note that his son, Eddie Romero, he goes by Eddie, but it's Ed Romero Jr., actually works in the front office for the Red Sox. And the funny story is, when I was an amateur autograph collector, I couldn't tell a bat boy from a baseball player from anything, and that's how kids are. And I actually remember asking Eddie Romero Jr. to sign something for me, and he was just so flattered that I asked for his autograph. Well, I'm like, well, I got your dad, so I got to get yours too, is what I said to him, if I recall. And ironically, he works in baseball to this day as well with the Red Sox. So I want to thank Mr. Romero for really being a nice man to me when I was a kid. And again, as an adult, it just proves that people grow up. So, why not treat everybody nice is the way I look at it. I also want to thank Mr. Allard for signing for me. Unfortunately, this one didn't turn out as I hoped it would, but, not a big deal. It does happen. I also want to thank Mr. Schmidt for signing his cards for me as well. Kind of got a little glare there, so we'll just rearrange those. So thank you very much, you the viewer, for joining me for another episode. I really appreciate you taking the time to view this, and please leave some comments below. I look forward to responding to them.